Chasing history, stories behind lost legends, has a gift for finding the stories we collectively agreed to look away from and then looking directly at them anyway.
Today, we're in that territory. The My Lai Massacre. What happened on the ground, who gave the orders, who refused them, and what the cover-up looked like from the inside.
Let's start with the morning of 16 March 1968 and how a search and destroy mission found nothing to destroy and destroyed everything anyway.
The setup matters here. Charlie Company went into My Lai expecting a firefight. Intelligence said the 48th Viet Cong Battalion was dug in, that American soldiers would be outnumbered more than 2-1, and that the area was laced with booby traps. They were primed for combat.
The quote from Robert Wayne Pendleton, 3rd Platoon, captures exactly what that priming looked like the night before. That evening, as we cleaned our weapons and got our gear ready, we talked about the operation. People were talking about killing everything that moved. Everyone knew what we were going to do.
And when they landed, there was no enemy. No fire, no mines, just villagers starting their morning. What followed was not a battle. By 9 a.m., Lieutenant Kelly had ordered the execution of as many as 150 Vietnamese civilians, herded into an irrigation ditch. By 11 a.m., the toll had reached as many as 500 dead.
500? And the sole American casualty was a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the foot, with some accounts suggesting the soldier did it deliberately to get out.
Not every soldier complied. PFC Michael Bernhardt refused to fire and later became a key whistleblower. Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson Jr. landed his helicopter between American troops and fleeing civilians and ordered his crew to open fire on U.S. soldiers if they advanced. Glenn Andriotta and Lawrence Colburn backed him up, weapons trained on their own side.
That is an extraordinary thing to have to do. Aim at your own unit to protect the people your unit was supposedly there to protect.
The cover-up began almost immediately. Captain Ernest Medina reported 128 enemy dead, with no mention of civilian casualties. Colonel Orrin K. Henderson, after interviewing Thompson and hearing his account of the atrocities, dismissed widespread reports as propaganda and claimed only 20 civilians had been accidentally killed by artillery fire.
Lieutenant Colonel Frank Barker, who designed the mission and issued orders that framed all villagers as potential enemies, publicly called the operation a success. He was killed in a helicopter crash in June 1968, months before the full story emerged, so he never faced a court-martial.
The Piers inquiry later found that commanders at nearly every level of the Americal Division had deliberately concealed the truth. Of those charged, the outcomes were striking. Medina was acquitted after 60 minutes of deliberation. Henderson was acquitted after a 62-day trial. Major General Coster was censured, demoted, and stripped of a medal, but charges were dropped. Lieutenant Calley was convicted of 22 counts of murder and served 3.5 years under house arrest.
Over half of Americans polled disagreed with even that verdict, viewing Calley as a scapegoat. Millions signed petitions for clemency. Some state legislatures passed formal resolutions in his support.
The Post closes on that tension directly, not excusing the rage that combat produces, but refusing to let it serve as justification. The argument is that covering up what happened at My Lai denied any possibility of accountability or change, and that the only way to honor those 500 lives is to keep the incident in the collective record and learn from it.
Which is exactly what this piece does, and why it's the harder kind of history to write.
My Lai sits at the intersection of bad orders, institutional cover-up, and a public that was deeply divided about what accountability even meant in wartime.
The people who refused, Thompson, Andriotta, Colburn, Bernhardt, are the thread worth pulling. More of that history next time.